Today on Hot Tip Tuesday, I'm going to show you how you can reuse those tiny little pieces of unused wrap wire. Here we go. Hello everyone and welcome to another Hot Tip Tuesday. I'm Jim McIntosh and I want to really give you a great tip today. But first, if this is your first time being here, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button below and make sure you hit the alert bell as well so that you don't miss any of my videos. I put my videos out on Tuesdays and I put a new tutorial video out on Thursdays. So make sure that you're subscribed so you don't miss anything, okay? Now, if you're anything like me, I hate to waste wire. If you've read my books or if you've checked out any of my tutorials, you'll notice that when it comes to the cabochon, I do a lot of measuring of it. And I don't really get too heavily into figuring out the math for it, but I do give you a simple formula as to how to figure out how much wire you're going to need for a project, because I hate wasting wire. The problem though is that you can't really do that very well with wrap wire. That half round wire, sometimes you really have a hard time judging how much you need. So you end up with a whole bunch of these teeny tiny little 2 and 3 inch pieces of wire in your scrap bin. What do you do with them? I'm going to show you how you can reuse those pieces and nobody will ever know that you used a bunch of pieces from your scrap bin. So let's head over to the bench and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so here we are over at the bench, and I've just, for test purposes only, I've got this bundle of wire and I've started wrapping. And basically the scenario is I started wrapping, here's where I started, and I wanted to go all the way to this blue line, but I misjudged. And this little piece right here, it's not even enough to really get around the piece again. So what can I do? Well, I said we were going to use some of these pieces of wire from my scrap bin. And these are just some of the pieces I actually had in my scrap bin. Some of them are a little tarnished. Some of them are really kind of long. So the long ones I'll probably use for another wrap, full wrap on something else. But this particular piece right here, let me grab that. There we go. This is about a 3-inch piece of wire. And this would be perfect to finish that wrap up with, okay? So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to get rid of the rest of these, and we're going to focus on this one piece of wrap wire. So let's set that down, and first let's set this up. So the first thing we want to do is we want to trim this right here down so that it is only covering about 1.5 of our framing wires here, of the wire bundle. So to do that, I'm going to kind of pull this ending wire up just a little bit. I'm going to use some flat nose here and I'll just pull it up. And I want to trim this really super short. Okay, so let me push this down against the wire. That's actually still, that might be just a little too long still. Let's fix that. Okay, let's trim this down. I only want it so that it is covering about 1.5 wraps at the most. Okay, there we go. See, so let's see if we can kind of get in here. Just see how short I cut that. That's about how short we want it. Maybe a little bit longer would have been okay, but this will guarantee that we've got the room to work in. So let's set that aside for just a minute. Now let's concentrate on the wrap wire. So now I've got the flat side, which is the inside of this curve. And I am just going to grab it about 1 millimeter or 2 inside. Let me show you where I'm putting this. I'm right at the tip of my pliers, and I barely am holding the wrap wire. You can't really see it too well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wrap and I'm going to start a wrap right there. So I made my little hook. Now notice how tiny that hook is. See if we can, there we go. it's probably about 1 or 2 millimeters itself. So we want that. So what we're going to do is we're going to line up that small little end of the hook opposite where we ended that last wrap. So we are opposite where I'm trying to show you, but I'm also trying to run out of hands here. There we go. So here we are. We're opposite that last wire. So now I'm going to hold it with my pliers and get my, here we go. Okay, so we're holding it. I'm just going to start another wrap. So I'm just going to bring the long end up over the wire bundle, and I'm going to make a couple of wraps there. So I made a couple of wraps. Now I'm going to move it down so that it's firmly up against the rest of the wrap wires, and I'm going to then push it down with some flat nose to set it in place. So this is what we've got. You see where I spliced in that new wire? Now I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep wrapping until I get to the place I wanted to end in the first place. There we go. And then I'll take my flat nose and I'll set it down. There we go. So the wrap, that's what it looks like. You can see right there in the center where we spliced the wire in. Now, that's what it looks like from the inside. And this is going to be up against the stone, so people won't be able to tell you did it, because if you look at the outside, let's flip it over. You can't tell. This is a little bit of tarnish here, but you can't tell that I spliced that in. And I've done wraps, really long wraps. Like if I were to continue working this wrap all the way down, I've had several places where I've spliced new wire in, and you can't tell. And it's just as strong. You finish it up just like you would normally. You cut off the excess wire. See, I'm still going to hold on to this little piece of wire here. Add that to my scrap bin. And we'll push down the wire end there. And that's all you have. That's where we're at. We can trim this other side down. And we are all done. There you go. You can't even tell. This is the outside. Wasn't that easy? And it's not difficult to do. In fact, I've run out of half-round wire before, and all I had left were those little pieces of scrap in my scrap bin. So I've actually made entire pieces just using that half-round wire. But if you find yourself with a lot of half-round wire or wire scraps that you're not going to be using, don't throw it away. If it's silver, if it's gold filled, if it's silver filled, argentium, hold on to that wire and send it back to like a place like Rio Grande, which will take your scraps back and they will reuse it. They'll recycle that and they'll give you a credit, or they'll pay you outright for those pieces of recyclable precious metals. So don't forget that, okay? Well, that's it for me this week. If you already haven't done so, please subscribe below. Hit the bell. Make sure that you get alerts whenever I put a new video out. Also, I'd like to hear from you. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know if you've tried this. Let me know if you've got any secrets that you've come up with to save wire. And also make sure you share this video with your friends. Also, check out in the description. There's lots of wonderful information, some great links in there to some of my books and some of my other things that I've got going on, okay? So again, my name is Jim McIntosh. Until next time, I want you to remember to practice, practice, practice.